All right, so we are going to start. Let's start in child's pose today. Let's get ourselves nice and close to the ground. If you need some cushion under the knees, feel free to add one of your blankets. Got some there if you need some behind the seat. I'm going to add one more in front of me just so I have something to rest my head on. I'm going to take up a lot of space here. Give yourself plenty of room. Take it down into the floor. Drop the belly through the thighs. We'll just start by a gentle rock of the head side to side against your mat. Going from eyebrow to eyebrow. Let your seat get heavy, soften the shoulders, let your armpits flare open toward the floor. And then we're going to find stillness here. Take a deep breath in through your nose, fill up the back body. Open your mouth, let that breath go. Again, big breath in. Open mouth, exhale, release. One more here, breathe in. Seal the lips, exhale out the nose. We'll continue to follow the breath in and out of the nose, feeling it go all the way into the back body, filling the back of the ribs, sides of the ribs. And with each of your exhales, soften a little more, closer to the floor. Feel the firm press of the head into the ground. If you're feeling any sinus headache, pressure, anything like that, just give yourself a little more room to let the head get heavier. If you want to keep adding a little bit of movement, a little bit of side to side, you're welcome to add that into your posture here. We're looking for some release here with each of your exhales, because we tend to stop breathing or we hold our breath when we feel stressed and things start to tighten across the chest. It's a good spot to just let that belly drop, let the chest drop. Starting to release the tension that we've been holding in our bodies. And giving ourselves permission to melt a little bit. And especially because we are empathetic people, we tend to take on other people's emotions as well. We don't realize that we're holding on to so much, not just for ourselves, but for the people in our communities. And so if you too are feeling that burden of feeling a lot of what other people are experiencing as well, and taking it deep into the heart, this is a good spot to do a little bit of release. It's okay for us to hold space for others, but we also cannot be the container for it, holding on to it forever. We also need a process for letting it move through us. Stay here for 3 more breaths. Two more. One more inhale. And we're gently going to rise up onto hands and knees. We'll plant the hands underneath the shoulders, fingers spread wide. We're going to rock through the hips, taking gentle circles. So I'm going to start going to the right, just rocking back a little bit, going to the left and then back forward. So we're working stretch through the wrists, starting to wake up the hips a little. And go in the opposite direction. You're going to leave your left hand on the ground. Inhale your right arm up. Take a breath in. Exhale. We're going to thread the needle. Slide your right arm all the way through. Let your right ear and your shoulder find the floor. Left arm is here for support any way that you need it. If you want to crawl the arm long, if you want to wrap your arm behind the low back. And gently start to slide your left hip back a little. Feel your knees holding your hips in place. We'll be here for about 5. Take one more breath here. Bring your left hand back underneath you. Press into the floor. Inhale, right arm goes up. And exhale, release. To the other side. Left arm lifts up. Breathe in. Slide it all the way through. Find a good option for your right arm. Slide your right hip back. First couple of breaths are really just for you to kind of work out the wiggles, make sure that you're in a comfortable enough position. And then once you get into your pose, you let the breath take over. One more inhale here. Bring the right hand back underneath you, press into the floor. Inhale, left arm lifts. Exhale, release. We're going to sink the hips back toward the left heel. And you're going to walk your hands over to the upper right and let your head drop. So you can crawl those left fingers just a little farther away. Three more breaths here. And walk the hands back underneath you, coming back to hands and knees. This time we're going to drop the hips over toward the right heel. Walk the hands toward the upper left of your mat. Let the head relax. Can you feel your breath opening into the right set of the ribs, pushing into those ribs, lengthening, stretching the right side body? One more deep breath in. And then come back to center onto hands and knees. We're going to step your right foot to the back of the mat. I'm just going to lean back into the heels, trying to get a stretch into your right calf. You can use the hands to kind of push some weight back there. And we'll leave it static for now. So just letting that right heel push behind you, keeping the right leg nice and long. Notice what sensations are showing up in your right calf, in your right hamstring. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And then bring your right knee back down. Do the same on the other side, stepping your left foot to the back of the mat, staying on the toes, shifting some weight back into the heel, feeling the stretch in the toes and in the arch, and then wrapping into the back of the leg. You want to get to a place where you feel just enough sensation, work within your body's capacity. Let's stay for 3 more breaths. And then return your left knee back down. We take a variation of a cat-cow, so we'll start the same as we normally do. Belly drops, chest opens, there's your inhale, lengthen. You're going to start to come into your rounding of the cat pose, and you're going to sink your hips about halfway, and then tent the fingers, let the head drop. So you should feel a little different sensation mid-back to upper back. Inhale, we'll bring the heart back through. Exhale, start to round, sink the hips back a little, tent the fingers. And do that a few more times with your own breath count. We'll come back to a neutral spine. All right, let's find one of your blankets that you can roll into a cylinder. And we're going to put this in the center of our mat. We're basically going to be lying on top of it with it going across the soft middle part of your belly. So it's going to go between where your ribs stop and where your hips start. So right there in that soft part of the belly. And we're going to stack the palms here. And let the head relax. We're going to let this blanket push back into the belly. The legs will relax. As you have this blanket pushing back into the belly, you're going to feel the breath. I like doing this variation here, using the blanket under the belly while lying down. Anytime that I'm feeling a lot of anxiety, a lot of nervousness, a lot of frustration, It kind of gets right to the heart of where we hold a lot of that tension when we're processing those types of emotions. And you can leave the forehead pressing against the hands, or if you want to add a neck stretch, decide on which way you want to turn your head. I would start with the tighter side. And fully release the weight of your skull onto your hands or whatever you have underneath it. See if you can slow down the exhale and allow the whole body to soften toward the floor, even going around and over the blanket. If you had turned your head one direction, go ahead and switch to the other side. Take one more breath here. I'm going to gently press back up. Move this blanket out from underneath. You're going to come to a kneeling posture if you want to use the blanket as a little cushion underneath the seat. And just sit onto the heels or whatever feels the best for you. Sit up tall. Relax the shoulders back behind you and just feel the freedom of the breath now that we have that blanket off of the belly. One more deep breath here. You You can either stay in this kneeling posture or you can come to a cross-legged seat, whichever is the most comfortable for you. And we'll continue to sit tall. Got a blanket under my seat, so I just have a little bit of lift here. All right. Take the shoulders up toward the ears, roll them back behind, drop them down. Let's do that a couple more times. Ooh, feeling little pops and cracks there. All right. So I'm going to go behind my back, and I'll show you first where I'm going to go. I'm going to grab for my left wrist with my right hand. And then I'm going to make a little chicken wing to the right side. So my right elbow's popping out to the side. I'm holding onto my wrist. And so I get this big opening on the left side of my chest. I'm going to start to add the head, dropping your right ear to your right shoulder. So if the wrist doesn't feel quite as good, you can just grab fingers. If none of this is working, you can just release the arms. I'm going to keep the spine long. We're just creating some opposition through here. So we have the left side of the chest being drawn to the left and wrapping behind. We've got the head going heavy, dropping over to the right. Now, depending on where you feel extra tight in the side of the neck, if you need a little more in the back of the neck, you can play with tipping your chin down, looking toward the right armpit. If you need a little more toward the front of the neck, you might rock the head up a little, looking at not quite the full ceiling, but maybe like a corner of the room or where the wall meets the ceiling. And you could go back and forth, you can leave it static. One more breath here. I'll lift the head back up through center, release the arms, shake them out a little. And we're going to take some eagle arms here. So we're going to go right elbow under left. And wrap up toward the hands. If this isn't working for you, you can grab opposite shoulders here. Lift your elbows off of your chest, push them forward. You should start to feel a nice opening between the shoulder blades. If you want a little bit more, you can play with leaning the fingers forward, maybe taking a little bit of rounding in the upper back, but keep getting those elbows off of your chest. One more breath here. And release, come back up. Roll the shoulders a couple times. When we get to the other side, so I'm going to go right arm behind, grabbing for the right wrist with my left hand, making a chicken wing with my left elbow. Once you got a nice starting to open that right side of the chest, go tall with the neck, and then drop the left ear toward the left shoulder. So by adding this little extra chicken wing action here, you won't be able to move your head as much, and that's okay. Just get to a place where you start to feel some stretch happening on the right side of the neck. Again, you can play with manipulating where that stretch is happening by rotating the head up or down. One more deep breath here. Bring everything back up through center, release the arms. We're gonna go crossing the other way, so I'm putting right elbow over left, wrapping up toward the hands, getting those elbows off the chest, and then adding a little bit of rounding. Open up the space between the shoulder blades and into the upper back. Last breath here. Come all the way back up. Release the arms. Roll through your shoulders. All right, we're gonna set up for a supported heart opener. We're gonna stay here for a while, so I wanna make sure that you're nice and comfy. I'm gonna make 2 cylinders out of my blanket. One's gonna go a long ways on my mat so that my spine can rest here, my arms, my shoulders can fall on either side. My other blanket here is gonna go underneath my knees. And you can do your legs any which way that makes most sense for you. I feel better with feet together, knees out. I have very open hips. My body likes that. If your hips are not as happy in that position, you're welcome to go long in the legs. Just take them kind of wide so that you have plenty of space for your feet to kind of just fall open. And we want to bring this blanket all the way to the base of the spine so that it can support your spine as you roll down. If you have an extra pillow or something that you want to put under the head, you're more than welcome to add a little extra there. We're going to let the shoulder blades fall on either side of the blanket. You're going to feel the blanket push back up in the back body, lifting you through the torso. Arms can be out to the side, palms up. If you need a little bit more grounding today, you can bring hands on the belly. Just make sure that your elbows are supported, that you're not having to hold your body up in any way. I'm going to leave it up to you, whatever feels better for you here. You're going to stay here. I'm going to keep an eye on the time for about 8 minutes. We're going to have plenty of time to just kind of settle into this. First few breaths, just get the wiggles out. Make sure that nothing's kind of poking in a spot that doesn't feel good. Your legs feel supported. We'll start to invite stillness and quiet, offering plenty of space for the breath to grow and shrink. And if at any point of these 8 minutes that something is not starting to feel right anymore, maybe you lose circulation in a toe or something just feels a little off, don't feel stuck in it. You do have permission to move as you need to, readjust, and then just try to come back in, maybe in a slightly different method, and see if you can find that quiet and stillness again. Take 2 more breaths here. Let's put the feet onto the floor. Let's move the blanket that was underneath the knees over to one side of your mat. Roll off of your second blanket that was under the spine. Move that to the other side of the mat. We'll come on to the back. Hug the knees into the chest. Take a gentle rock here, side to side. And then extend your left leg long. Keep the right knee in. Give it a gentle squeeze into the belly. Maybe move it side to side or in circles if that feels okay in the hips. And when you're ready, we're going to cross this right leg all the way over to the left, finding the blanket. Just shift your hips over to the right a little. Allow the chest to open. Right arm might fall behind you, or it might just rest on the hip or down on the ground next to you. Soften the belly, relax the low back muscles. Feel this twist move through the low back. Then you clench the teeth. Relax the jaw. Notice if any tension is showing up in the hips, the glutes, and the legs. Gently come back to center. Reset the hips. Give your right knee one more squeeze in. And we'll switch up the legs. Right leg goes long. Left knee comes in. Going to add some gentle movement here. Feeling for the back of the hips to settle into the floor. When you're ready for your twist, let's start to move this left knee across over to the right. Finding our other blanket. Shifting the hips over to the left. Plenty of room for the turn. Take 2 more breaths here. Bring everything back to center. Reset the hips. Give your left knee a good squeeze into the belly. And then draw both knees in, take them wide. Gentle rock side to side. If you want to take this into happy baby, you can grab the feet or the toes. Then we're going to extend everything long, arms long, legs long, full body stretch here. Roll through the wrists, open and close the hands, curl through the toes. And then let the shoulders and the hips relax. We're going to walk the feet over to the right edge of your mat. You can cross one ankle over the other, stretching that left side body. If you want to add a little more in the arms, grab your left wrist with your right hand, take that up and over to the right. Keep those hips and shoulders anchored into the ground. Try not to add too much of a curve in the low back. Be here for a few breaths. Bring everything back to the center. Let's set up on the other side, walking the heels over to the left edge of your mat. And take your right wrist with your left hand, opening up the right side body. And bring everything back to center. Once again, we'll hug the knees into the chest. Add some movement here. And then we'll get set up for Shavasana. Now, I recommend if you have a wall nearby or you have some furniture that you might be able to prop some feet up on, it's a really great option. If you prefer to stay on the ground, you can add blanket underneath the knees again for a little lift. I'm going to go up the wall. If you're taking anything where you're getting your legs up higher, helps to kind of roll to get the feet up. And if you're still feeling ungrounded, add some weight across the belly. Some cushions or bolster, some blankets. Let your feet relax here. Whether you're on the floor, your legs are elevated, allow the toes to relax. You might slightly roll open. Get your shoulder blades flattened down into the floor, roll the palms up to the ceiling. You're still feeling anything behind the neck, maybe a gentle rock of the head, side to side. And then let the back of the skull find stillness resting into the floor. We'll take 3 cleansing breaths here together. Take a nice long inhale through your nose, fill up the belly. Open your mouth and release. Do that again, big breath in. Open mouth, exhale. Last one, breathe in. And breathe out. And feel let your breath come back to a natural pattern. A feel for the gentle rise and fall of the chest and the belly. Continue to let the back body melt into the floor. As the body releases down to the ground is strong enough to hold you. And you're starting to leave an imprint of exactly where you are in space and time. For these last few minutes of our practice, we have no other obligations than to lie here and breathe. Start to deepen your breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. Circle your wrists and your ankles. Take a full body stretch here. Yawn, move the jaw around. And hug the knees into the chest, roll over to your left, coming into fetal position. Take a few breaths on your side. Keeping the eyes closed or soft, press your way up to a comfortable seat. We'll bring palms to touch at heart center. Give yourself a moment here, feeling the spine long, feet underneath you, grounding you and holding you in place. Let's seal our practice tonight with a single Om together. First, take a full breath into your nose. Sigh this breath out. Inhale to chant. Om. Namaste.